What we know is a drop. What we don't know is the ocean.
Hello, and welcome to the Newton Knowledge Podcast. My name is Mark Singer, partner of Newton One Advisors, and I'm joined by our managing partner, Steve Target. The Newton Knowledge Podcast will provide meaningful content to our valued advisor community. Our discussions will deliver unique insights into the people, processes, and products that make our industry so critical. Newton One is a national life insurance planning firm delivering customized solutions structured to help clients and their advisors engaged in solving estate planning, wealth transfer, business succession, and executive benefits challenges. We are a member of the M Financial Group, which grants our clients access to the nation's elite carriers and exclusive products available only through our network.
I could tolerate any insurance seminar. For days, I could sit there and listen to them go on with a big smile on my face. I'd say, how can you stand it?
Today we're with Curtis Golkow, founder of Golkow Business Law. Curtis has 35 plus years of practicing business, finance, and securities law. Your firm focuses on representing entrepreneurs and middle market companies and all of the planning and strategic decisions that come with creating, scaling, and possibly selling a business in the future.
And a professor.
Guest lecturer.
Okay.
We met at the Estate and Financial Planning Council of Southern New Jersey.
Yes.
You gave a educational briefing.
On business divorce. I do a lot of business divorce. When business partners can't get along anymore, they have to separate. I try to help them do it without litigation. I'm not a litigator. I try to prevent my clients from being in litigation.
So I thought you did a great job. It was wonderful. We connected afterwards, and hence that's why you're here.
Thank you.
But we're not going to talk about business divorce right now. And before we dive into our actual topic on business succession planning, can you tell us about your career path, why you started your own firm?
So I've been practicing law for about 37 years, over 20 years at the big firm, doing corporate transactional work, a lot of M&A. And I got frustrated with being at the big firm. I no longer have to suppress maverick tendencies. It's hard to be a partner with people sometimes. And I feel like I could practice law the way I want to practice on my own. Big firms could sometimes become more of a factory. And my business development comes from doing quality of work where opposing lawyers see it, and then they think of me to send clients next time. So my referrals come largely from former opposing counsel as well as former partners and of course, happy clients. So it works for me.
Perfect. So lighter question before we dive into the actual topic. What makes you lose track of time?
Google searches.
You sound like Steve.
I was a kid who liked to read from the encyclopedia. So imagine what it's like, right, for me, having the world of information at your fingertips. I can't watch a TV show without Google searching, who was that character? Who was that actor? I go down that rabbit hole all the time. And certainly with everything crazy in the news, I have to fact check it, look at the background. And so I have to fight not to lose time.
I love it.
Well done.
So understanding succession goals, what are the key personal and business goals owners should consider when developing a succession plan?
Should consider. The business owner should be considering primarily two things, and there are a lot of factors, lots of influences. Number one, value. You want to have value for the family. And business owners often misassess their kids and what the prospects are going to be like when they turn over the business to the next generation. So a good, sober, honest look at preserving value. And the second is preserving family. If I ask the business owner, when you turn the business over to your kids, if they end up fighting and it ruins the family, you can't come together for Thanksgiving any longer.
Yeah.
The business owner says, then I wish I had sold it. Okay, well, what makes you think your kids are going to be good business partners? Did they have the same friends? Did they get along growing up? And even if they did, that doesn't mean you're good business. It's hard to find somebody where you're compatible as business partners with the same ideas, same commitment, same work ethic. It's hard. And even if they are good business partners to start, life happens and things change. So it can be successful. It can keep families close. But sometimes it doesn't. And it's hard for the business owner, the founder, to look at his own or her own kids honestly and objectively. And so they're situations where I've been asked to interview the kids, or I've often offered, let me, and then I report back. I know you think your son is all great, but I have to say it in a nice way, and diplomatic, if you wanted to turn the business over to your kid, you're going to need to surround your kid with a team to make up for these areas. And so part of the process is helping the parent make a good decision despite having perhaps blind spots when it comes to their own kids.
Do you see families over your years of practicing, their children getting involved with the business more so now, or are they more interested in selling to third parties? Has that changed over the years of your practice?
I think there's more emphasis on selling to third parties because the price that you get from private equity is so high that that when you think of what the value is, it's very hard to compare. Sometimes you have founders who say that I got it from my father, I want to give it to my kid, or they want to preserve culture, protect employees. And those are typically not the right reasons.
Yeah, that makes sense. What decisions should business owners be considering when they're making the decision of selling? What should they be aware of and what should they think of?
When they're thinking of selling?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to break down the menu of options into three. A sale to an outside party, which could be a strategic, it could be private equity. That's one. Two would be a management buyout. Maybe you have a team in place of good, loyal employees who could take over. And three would be a succession plan where you sell it within the family. Optimizing dollars most likely is the outside sale. For the owner that says, oh, but I have this key team, I want to keep them in place. The management buyout strategy is tough.
Yeah.
Unless there's ship should only have one captain, unless there's one person who's the obvious leader to put these people together, the head of finance and the head of operations, the head of sales, different cultures, different everything. To think that team's going to work together cohesively is very tough. And then it can work, but limited circumstances where that is really the best strategy. And then the succession to the family is really like a subset of the management buyout. You have your kids work in the business, and then you're going to turn it over to them. So it's like a management buyout, but where the owner has blind spots and prejudices about what the kids can really do and and how they're going to get along, because parents don't want to see their kids fight. They don't see it. So I would say the right answer for most people is going to be to sell to an outside third party.
Yeah.
A succession plan can be great if it's done right, and if the value that the founder has is, I really believe I can keep the family together this way, and I think the next generation really can grow the business. If the next generation can't take the business to the next level, sell to an outsider.
Let's take a step back and think about this from the seller's perspective. Can you identify a few suggestions for sellers that help them get their house in order, straighten everything up so that one of those three options is
yes,
successful?
Yes, absolutely. So if you're going to sell your house, you wouldn't do it where the paint is shabby on the outside and somebody comes in and sees your dirty laundry in the foyer. All right. When you go to sell your business, it's the same mentality. The right way to sell your business is to look at it critically, look at it through the eyes of a buyer. And it starts from an accounting perspective. The business is going to be priced based on looking at the accounting. And if you haven't had GAAP financials, there have been a lot of related party transactions, cash transactions, there are potential liabilities there are lots of things that a buyer is going to be critical of. Get ahead of it. And you work with your accountant. You might need a quality of earnings report. There are things you can do to maximize value. For a succession plan, it's almost the opposite, because you're not trying to maximize value. You might actually want to present a lower value for estate and gift tax purposes.
Yeah.
What you really want to do is make sure that you have all systems in place so that the next generation that doesn't have all the same institutional knowledge and all the same relationships can step in and function successfully. So you want to prepare the next generation for success. And there's a lot that goes into that, because you may have employees who look at the kid as, part of the lucky sperm club, Nepo baby, and have some disrespect. You want to make the kid earn it in the eyes of those working in the company. And so you want to position your kid for success. It's a different process from preparing to sell to the outside.
So let's dive a little deeper into that and put all of that in the category of the management buyout. What sort of advantages would you identify in a management buyout or maybe a family succession plan versus other succession planning options?
So if the goal is to keep the family business because you want to keep the culture and you want to keep the family name and all that good stuff, the seller, the senior person, needs to recognize that once they're out, things are going to change. And sometimes it's even more painful when it changes, when it's your own kids making all the changes. So if the goal is to keep the kids who are in the business, they're interested in it, they have the ability to run the business and grow the business, then the idea is to position them to do that.
What makes a management buyout maybe more attractive? What sort of considerations?
The management buyout, I'm going to back up from succession planning, right?
Yeah.
When you have a really good team and they are better able to grow the business than somebody coming in from the outside would. That's the real reason to do a management buyout. Sometimes you have no choice because the team's going to break apart. If you have a business where what somebody is actually buying is the key people, and the key people aren't staying unless they're the ones who are going to be the new owners. I mean, sometimes in a business, you bring people along with the promise that they're going to that they will have the next opportunity to be owners of the business. Then you may have to deliver on that promise.
I imagine it's difficult. We've seen both sides of the transition, meaning transition where the buyer asks for the leadership team to stay on board. And then there's the transitions where the buyer really wants the leadership team to transition away, so that they have more control and they can kind of put their own stamp. I'm sure you've seen it work both ways, or is there one that works better than the other?
So it depends on how the buyer is using the company. So let's say you're selling to a private equity fund and they're going to be using this company as the platform to which they're going to add by acquiring other companies in the same industry. They're going to want to keep that management team in place, and they're going to place a premium on the value on having a good, strong management team. That management team is going to help them evaluate the new companies to be added, and they're going to be necessary for the integration. On the other hand, if your company is being acquired as the add-on because they already have the platform and they're building out, then it's going to be a competitive process. So they buy your company, and your company might have a super talented salesperson. That's good. Salespeople, people who have their access to the customers are generally safe. Least safe is the finance side. You don't need two CFOs. And so unless the new CFO is demonstrably more talented than the one you have, that's the person most at risk.
And when management is staying on board, that's more in our lane, Steve, where what can we put in place to kind of retain those key employees from an executive benefits package standpoint, whether it be executive life programs or golden handcuffs, it's also called, a way to keep those key employees on board.
I address those issues all the time as well. And so, there are two sides, the carrot and the stick. Golden handcuffs is the carrot, right? And that could be done with some sort of a deferred compensation plan. There are different ways to do it, but typically the most important thing is aligning the goals with the economics. And sellers often think, I want to put in place a plan where when we sell the business, that my key employee gets a payday. I want the person to stay through the sale to help me get the sale done. The buyer doesn't necessarily want that. The buyer, if they want to keep the key salesperson, doesn't want the person to have the money in the bank to be able to walk away. They would want the payout to be over a period of time after the sale to keep the person there.
Keep them engaged.
Yeah. So that's on the deferred comps. Then the other side of it is restrictive covenants, right? You can't go to And the law hates, the judges hate them. The trend in the law is to get rid of them. The Biden administration attempted to do it with executive order. The trend is against restrictive covenants. They're still permitted in most places, not California, but there are increasing state limitations on these things. So you have to take a careful look and have customized, reasonable restrictions that will work, that keep the key people from taking value elsewhere. That's important.
We're coming up on our 30 minutes. What do you want to leave our audience with in regards to pitfalls? And you've vetted out the process of properly interviewing son or daughter to be on board. That aside, what other pitfalls should a business owner from a succession planning standpoint be aware of?
Picking the right person to be the successor. That's number one. It could be persons, but more likely pick the right one. Sometimes parents have multiple kids and they love all their kids. When they brought home cookies, everybody got the same number of cookies. It doesn't work that way. You could balance your estate in other ways, but the business should go to the one who is going to be running it, taking responsibility, and make up from your estate for the other kids separately. 2, put them in the right position to succeed, and there's a lot of depth we can go into on that. 3, coordinate with the estate plan and the business plan in general. The business is going through a turbulent time. That's not the time to do this. The estate plan should be done in coordination, which means that you don't tell the estate planner like 10 minutes beforehand. You lay it out in advance, and start the gifting program in advance. It should be all the planning should be coordinated. And my frustration is that people will go to their estate planning counsel, and the estate planning counsel helps with the succession plan, but doesn't necessarily look at it from the business perspective. I mean, if you really want to minimize estate taxes, you kill the business. Yeah. That's not how you want to minimize estate taxes. You want to maximize value. You want to have an estate tax problem. So I look at it from the perspective of what is right for the business. How do we maximize value in the business, which is complementary to what the estate tax lawyer would do.
Yeah, it's a balance for sure. We appreciate you being on. Thanks, Kurt.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye. Goodbye.
The material and opinions voiced are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what is appropriate for you, please contact a member of our team.